The new earth is a term, and it's a vibrational resonancy frequency where we can tune in, and where it has a certain awakening, like a trigger, as the numbers do, as well as the 1111 and the 1212 gateways and 444 and 13, which is 13 is a newer number, and 333 is a newer number that has been activating us in a way of remembrance within our cellular DNA of the sacred divine feminine, the awakening of the sacred divine feminine, of ascension, of 333, of coming together, that we're doing it as a unity. 333 as the sacred trinity. We're doing it as the embodiment of our bodies, templates becoming crystalline, and of the higher source resonance within our fields and within the earth plane as the 333. And also the 333 has other information and awakening for us. The inner earth Pleiadian beings came to me in their ship on the 1111, and out here at the vortex of Cathedral. And when they did, it was a very powerful experience for me. And what happened is there was a very powerful awakening, and there was a communion and a connection and a relationship that started for many years. And after this contact, this awakening, which I realize now is a part of my lineage, is the realms started to open up, just almost like literally, clear as day. I could see these blueprints, all kinds of different blueprints, one after the next, and this continued for 3 months. All different technologies that serve the highest and greatest to share with us. There is a new way of contact. You are, and we are being awakened and contacted by our galactic, interdimensional, ascended realm families.
Yes.
This contact is happening a little bit differently now than perhaps that it happened a few years ago, as on the 1111, when I had a few beings physically show up here at the Cathedral Vortex, and also Mother Mary, who brought the Rose Ray. What has been happening is a different way of communication. Now, because of circumstances and situations and timelines, and because of where we are right now, and because of the technology, the interstellar technologies, that we can be tracked, we can be connected by our resonancy frequency. And so, certain contact is being made in a different kind of fashion. Contact is being made through our auditory, clear audience, when we hear these different signals and we hear these different frequencies in like one of our ears, or then on the other ear, it'll be really loud,
or
then
in
it'll
your stomach.
stop, maybe it'll happen again, and then you'll feel something, and you'll be kind of like stopped in your tracks in life, just as when you see the number frequencies. And so this contact that is being made is happening at a very high resonancy, high frequency level. And the way that I have been experiencing it is when I wake up, I will see this portal, and it is of like a higher dimensional field. And in this portal, in this field, is communication. This communication is movement, it is of design, it is of resonancy, and it is of frequency. It's not always in words. So we're not always telepathing. In the way in which I telepath is that I'm not actually saying the words, but I'm hearing the words, or I'm experiencing an understanding that is very full within my being.
Bartender, we'll take
This
two of what she's
communication
drinking.
is happening, and the communication grid exists. We are being more revealed to our electrical, magnetic, our resonancy field of nature. And there's a great power in that, and there's a great power in our unity. This unity field conscious grid existed where we connected more on a conscious level in Atlantis and in Lemuria, in a little bit different fashion, but we
really
connected in with these frequencies and this oneness. And many of the beings that I have been connecting with, the Shimbalas, these beautiful, incredible ascended masters, they are ladies that are ascended beings that are also connected in with this group that have a bit of a native, but they're, and how we're communicating, it's very powerful and it's very significant. And they are establishing these structures, this presence, so that as this disclosure continues to happen, that there is a form, a resonance, a field, a body, a
backup,
support for us.
Wouldn't that be great? This is backup. That would be awesome. Oh, that would make me feel so good.
So events and circumstances are quickening now, and they will until 2020. We're in another gateway. We're in another timeline, cosmology of sequences of events, and the star seeds and emissary ambassadors are being called again to awaken. And what is happening is you are starting to experience things, your perceptions and your belief systems again are shifting, and things that you believed or connected with just a month ago or a year ago, you're starting to see things in a different way. Your perceptions, your ideas, and your body frequency is awakening even further. And
mine is, I just don't know what the hell to do with it.
It is a wonderful, beautiful thing, because greater acceptance, greater love, greater compassion, and the unity field is connecting.
Right. Sounds great. I love it.
What is important is that you know who you are, and you continue to remember who you are.
Just in time.
A lot more of this information will be given place, this from this place.
Can I buy you a drink? I don't know sign language.
She speaks Lemurian.
Inayala okrish inaya noela. Hena le ure na maikala kush inailea ruiniak oma hiya rea ne komata. Kirish inaya omari kirs mihiale.
Oh, what? Oh, wait. If you're gonna sing, I gotta get in on this. Let's see what I got here. Let's try this. Yeah. Go ahead, take it, girl. Talk nerdy to me.
Connections of our cellular remembrance within the land awakening and within the Atlantis, within the Lemurians, within the interdimensional structures of who we are, to create a greater field of reference and a harmonic template, and to awaken and to stabilize
that shit.
Fields, crystalline fields.
Thank you. All right, just a little entertainment for the intro. It's good stuff. As you can see, I take all sources into account. All sources, and the further out you look for sources of information, and the more vast the range of information you take in is, the much more you have to discern when it comes to trying to whittle down to the truth. And I've found a lot of really incredible facts that I've been able to solidly prove through discernment and through cross-referencing and having witness testimonies and little YouTube videos of people talking about stuff that they know about, having them corroborate one another to bring some of the most hidden secrets of this society to the surface and make them all fit together in a sequence that makes sense. All through school we're taught this history that just doesn't really make sense. You always, at least I did, going through school, I always had that sense that, like, wait a second, that doesn't really make evolution, 50 million years. What? How long has the Earth been here again? And where did it come from? And did the Earth evolve? It's just all this jumbled information that does not fit, just doesn't quite go together perfectly. But as I've gone through the years, grown older, and spent a considerable amount of time trying to get to the bottom of some of the biggest questions that I've had, and I've been able to really find a lot of great answers by expanding my horizons, and instead of dismissing things that previously seemed too wild or too far out there, I started to take into account that that these could be possibilities, and let's explore that and see what's in there, see what's beyond beyond the dismissive glance. Let's see what's underneath here. Let's pull it apart and pull some facts out of it and see what checks out, what doesn't. Anyways, so I got a great show here for you tonight. I say tonight because I'm recording at night. I always record at night, but it's going to be morning by the time you guys get to watch it, or afternoon, or tomorrow night, or anytime. Tonight we got a mega UFO bomb in Boston. And by bomb, I don't mean a bomb like a real bomb. I mean like a bomb of evidence. A bomb. I watch this channel once in a while, a couple of webcams in Boston that they're revealing. They're fun to watch. There's some stuff on there, but it's so far away that the Boston city skyline is so huge. I got some family there. Hi guys. Hi Jake. Hi Pat. Hi Uncle Budsy. Yeah, Boston, big city. I didn't realize how big it was until I started checking these webcams out. But the one YouTube account that posts the live streams from the webcams. Well, it's called IP Time Lapse, Boston IP Time Lapse. And just a little while ago, they posted this. Now, this is a montage of every day, I guess, or I'm not even sure how many days of the month, maybe 5 or 6 days of the month, every month from June until December. A little blip, just a couple of hours from each day, from beginning of dusk until dark. And so it sort of changes as it gets later in the season. You see it goes till like 8 or 9, starts out at 5 or 6, but as it gets later in the winter, I guess, or I don't know, it doesn't make sense, really, does it? Later in the year it gets later. Should it get earlier? Maybe it's getting earlier. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, it's going to get earlier. So, yeah, you're just seeing it play by here pretty fast. And all you Planet X researchers, sky watchers, you've probably already seen a few interesting things whiz by, but it's going so fast, obviously, you don't take too much notice. And it's just a 2.5 minute clip, 2.5 minutes. But I'm going to slow it down for you a little bit here. I'll bring it right back to the beginning. Pause it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leaf through it here manually, because there's some very interesting things here, and there is a shitload of them. It seems pretty clear that Boston is the hub of the invasion, and I'm sure as I'm whizzing through here I'm going to miss a bunch of them. And luckily I got a wonderful community of Planet X researchers that like to follow up on each other's reports. That's right, Beebs. Beebs, I'm talking to you. I expect you to pick up anything that I miss here. So, get a couple days into it is when we start to get some action. And again, I probably have already missed a couple of things, but there is some staggering things. Well, I shouldn't say staggering, but perhaps I should have done this off the YouTube. My player doesn't respond as well as the YouTube player. Let's see if I just got YouTube open here. Blink. Blink. Yes. And I can play it. Just better pause it. So, here we go. That works better. So I guess we got, obviously here the sun setting over into the right of the screen, which I guess is nice sometimes that it's not in the screen all the time. I'm always digging up these beautiful sunsets, and they're just really distracting. But when the sun is off the screen, it gives you a chance just to focus on the sky and look for things that aren't moving like they should be in the sky. As you can see right here, something very fucking large. See that? So, I mean, you can sit there and tell me that's geostationary. I don't know what the hell you tried to come up with to excuse that one, but I'm sure, there's always the skeptics out there, and I appreciate them. I love them very much every day. It's just, sometimes you just gotta wonder what is wrong with these people. Some people just don't want to believe, don't want to change their beliefs, or don't want anything bumping their beliefs or interrupting those beliefs. And I guess there's a lot of people that just don't believe UFOs really exist. They say that, oh yeah, no, I'm sure that UFOs exist. But when you say, oh, no, they really exist, and they're really here, then it's like, oh, no, I know they exist, but, no, did you fucking hear me? I just said, our skies are full of UFOs right now. I'm not a UFO researcher. I never imagined I was going to see a UFO in my life. And, I'm saying UFO, it seems so, I don't know, it seems so degrading, or I wouldn't see if somebody came over to visit and I didn't know them and they were a stranger, I wouldn't call them, hello, unidentified person. I would ask them their name, or find something a little more endearing to refer to them by. So, I mean, you can see what's going on here, right? Just wait, it gets good. Oh, I mean, it should already be good, but it gets really good. Like, look at these objects in the sky. There's something there, and it's so obvious. Still not convinced? That's fine. What's going on back here? You're gonna notice it, and something that's really baffled me is that a lot of times you'll see these anomalies will pop up, such as something back here, which is likely really big. This dark area, these dark shadows, they'll pop up and they'll just stay stationary, which clearly indicates to me it's absolutely not. I'm still trying to pull my head out of Planet X being a solar system interaction where two solar systems are crossing paths in their once every blah 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 thousand years orbits, and where they come to what they call perihelion, where they meet their closest point and then swing back out. And it's so difficult for me to not just expect, oh well, okay, if that could be a planet, it should be moving, it should be orbiting. But instead, what we're seeing these giant structures. Again, this is, some of it's subjective, some of it clearly isn't. These giant objects pulling up somewhere and parking and not moving. I've seen them in the same camera for days, and then they're just gone. That says intelligent control to me. So feel free to go back by and replay this in slow motion, because I'm sure I'm only getting a tiny portion of what was here earlier. It just seemed like every evening there was at least 2 or 3 frames that had really bizarre stuff in it. Okay, now this here, pardon me, you're gonna have to keep this here in mind, because this is going to show up a bunch of times. Sometimes it's going to show a little more detail. Sometimes it's going to seem a little smaller, or a little less of it showing, a little more of it showing, and it seems to. It honestly, to me, it looks like a scene or a frame or some sort of a structure. It could be a ship, could be. Clearly, it's not a cloud. That's what we know, and it's huge. It's way too big to be a plane. Like we see, these are the tops of buildings. These are boats. Like this is a big object. It's not a plane hovering there. See this here? Back and forth. A couple times for you. Look at that. Swamp gas. Swamp gas. Right, Naughty? So, every single night, there's some form of anomaly. What is that? Darkness! Look at that darkness. That looks like a big purple black light. Giant circle purple black light from the club. See that? Something there. So when people ask me, oh, what do you see? I was out all day, I didn't see nothing. And then I go, oh, well, that's because they're hiding, or that's because they're cloaked, or that's because they're not revealing themselves quite to you. And people are like, You know, yeah, right. Oh, they're cloaked. Okay, right. Nice fantasy. Okay, it's not like we're not dealing with some higher level of technology here. It's not like, you know, we say, oh, I saw a UFO. Oh, what year was it? 1968. It had an 8-track player. You know, this is technology we can't even wrap our brain around. So what's to think that they're not able to cloak themselves in our atmosphere to our clearly unaware population? They're not even doing a very good job of it. And so when people scoff at me and I say, yeah, it's technology and it's being cloaked, I just gotta laugh. Because what do you think? You know, like, you think they travel across the galaxy to come for a visit and they don't already have a pretty good grasp on cloaking technology. Okay. Well, a lot of people are going to be learning a lot of really new things. I think right now, this time, it's an exciting time to be alive. It really, really is. Because, you know, this is happening. Whatever it is. Maybe that's just the sun beaming through at 8:59 p.m. I almost think that we're kind of getting small signs here and there. And I got a video I'll get to here in a bit. I saw another UFO again tonight, only this time it was a completely different one. One I have not seen yet. Not in person. Possibly until maybe it's one of the same guys here. This here looks like it could be one of those little square ships that we've seen pop up. Or is it a ship? Is it a part of cloaking technology? Is it a part of, I don't know what it is. Part of the lens array? Is it a part of just so many options? It's not a fucking cloud. It's not supposed to be there. It's not natural. The government's not saying anything about it. And it could potentially pose a hazard. It's something we should all talk about. Like, what is this? 2 frames, it's there, 5 minutes apart. It doesn't move for 5 minutes. 55 to 9 o'clock. 5 minutes, it just sits there. Does not budge an inch. And then vanishes. It looks like somebody's parked right in the middle of town, right in the middle of the river. Now, look at the size of these giant spheres. And they're moving. Back up, forward again. They're moving, but they don't have to move, it doesn't seem. They're not orbiting, they're not, maybe they are orbiting, but they're not following the laws of physics that we know. And you can see they're there almost daily in Boston. There we have a helicopter, just so that nobody accuses me of just selecting regular human airline traffic to. Here we go. I almost missed this here. I accidentally hit the play button. Back here up a little bit. As you can see it. Oh, there's that flash again. My arm's getting tired. I've already gone through about a week of time lapses today, frame by frame like this. Look at that. Hello. Beautiful. That's a UFO. I just think I'm going to just quick zoom in on this. See if we can't get a better look at it. Just taking 1 second. 1 moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right with your regular programming as soon as possible. This It's a pretty impressive little site. What is that? No, it's just a new flying machine from American Airlines. It's a new SpaceX model. NASA will be claiming it pretty soon. I mean, who knows? It could be the new NASA model. Shuttle? No. They certainly ain't going into anything that sleek. Check that out. That is pretty fantastic. It's like the Millennium Falcon rolling over Boston. It's just there for one frame, the one frame only. Come on, you dope. Stop. Nothing with me. Oh, let me fix this. Oh, Blinky. The Blinky moon. Notice how the moon like opens like a friggin' portal? And I bet you if I was to zoom in again, it's this dark area on the outside of it would be hexagonal shaped. Hexagonal shaped because there are these artificial light sources. And when you look up the patent for them, patent from 1965, patent filed, shows a honeycomb or hexagonal shape. Six-sided, of course. The occultists win again. They're number 6. Oh, whoops, I accidentally skipped back. There's that helicopter. See, sometimes these dark shadows just parked on the horizon, sometimes they're parked overhead. That's just the ball field, I think, or a football stadium. But look at that, like, look at this dark thing. What is that? The amazing thing is that, you know, you can't see them by day. You can't pick this stuff up typically by day unless you're really watching. And how many people look up? Not many. I can tell you that now. So look at this. So there's some sort of framing or array, or I don't know if it's, I hate to even say it, but I keep picturing a giant silk-like screen over the sky, because a lot of times it looks like these objects are pushing on like a blue blanket. If you don't see any clouds in front of them, it's like they're just rubbing over this silky material or something, and we can't see through it until they get really close, and then they cast a shadow, or they'll push that blanket like something is on the other side of it, right? Like, you know, you got a piece of material, and oh, of course I got the green screen effect, but you know, you get this rub, this like sharp pointy area where this object is rubbing on the other side of a blanket. Now, sure, a blanket over the entire city of Boston, over the entire continental US or Canada, that's absolutely hard to even say. It sounds so crazy. But given the circumstances, is anything too crazy to consider? Is anything too crazy to consider at all? I don't believe so anymore. I don't believe so. After what I've seen the last couple of months, there's nothing that's too crazy to be true. There's nothing. And it just keeps coming. Look at this. What is that going on up there? Some kind of a frame. Like, I'm just cruising through, and you go through slow, you'll see all kinds of like little details that I'm just totally just blowing by here. Look at this. What is that? Is that the top of a building that I just never see in any of the other frames? I don't think so. I don't think so. But there could be some perfectly good explanation. I'm fine with 50% of what I point out here. 50, if you want to take 50 off the top, you skeptics, you want to like say, oh, that's inconclusive. I don't know. That's not clear enough. 50% of what we're pointing out, you can just scrape off the top. You can have it. A gimme. But what about the rest? What about the rest? You can't tell me that pretty much every evening here, this camera, look at this. I go, what is that? That's just a natural phenomenon? No, because this is like the 5th time it's showed up, or 5 times in this one video. It's just chock full. Now, I almost think that maybe these guys that have this channel are aware, and they've almost hand-selected evenings that had giant frames in the sky. Is that like that's like some sort of a scaffolding? Like a light truss or something? It's just incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible. This is just one webcam, right? Like every day now, you go to any live cam and you're more likely to see something than not. And I'm gonna put together maybe a video if I get it, but this one doesn't. Never mind, this one's running too long already. I'm going to put together a video that will give you some pointers, because I've been doing this a while, and some people I notice when I tell them, oh well, just check the live cams, and they just don't get it, and they don't have any luck, and they don't have any luck because look at that. They don't have any luck because there's sort of hints and tricks. Well, one of them, you see how YouTube provides us with this nice preview. Well, I like to go to a live cam. Most of them will let you go back. Well, many of them will let you go back and pan back 4 hours. The live ones, the stream as far back as 4 hours. Now, that time is continually progressing. So if you wake up at noon, you can't go back to 6 a.m. You got to go, back to just 4 hours prior. So, but what you can do is go and skip through the video a couple times so that you get a buffer loaded, and you can just pan through usually and pick out, oh look, well there's a great big dark spot in the sky. I'll click there and check it out, and that way you can scan through 4 hours at a time. Each time you go to a different webcam, so it makes it a little more efficient than just clicking around and watching, hoping something's gonna happen. You can hit a good full 4 hours, or if you can find a time lapse is the best. People put up time lapses for really no apparent reason at all, except for scenery or beautiful or whatever, and you go back and check through them and use a little bit of a discerning eye, slow it down a little bit or whatever, and poof, stuff starts falling out of the sky. Not falling out of the sky literally, but falling into your lap. These amazing things that should not be in the sky, or I guess they're here, and they've been here before according to history. So maybe I shouldn't be so bold as to say they don't belong in our sky. They're just not normally in their sky. I can't even figure out what that is. It's huge. And it's just holding still. Something there, maybe something here. It's full-on invasion, folks. And if you watched my last video, we watched a little clip from Mia's new pair of glasses, and she had featured a video that described some of these carousel parts, this carousel technology. Whoa, what the fuck is that? Yep. Okay, skeptics, pipe up. What do you think? It was just a large chunk of cloud that was stuck. It couldn't get anywhere. It's a phenomenon that happens once in... Never mind. Up, down. Yeah. This is a beautiful city. This is a great view of it too. Look at those colors. Look at those colors. And YouTube, don't do this to me. Here we go. Look at that. Something right up there. You know, I'd like to say, oh, that could be a lens flare, but it goes right into the night. What? Look, it's a disappearing boat! Goes that anomaly again. What? What is this? Are they watching the game? I'm gonna have to ask my cousins. Hey, Pat, Jake, I need to know. I need to know what's underneath this giant ball here. What's right across from this bridge area? It's got to be the downtown. I mean, this is a pretty dense city-looking spot. So I'm not familiar with Boston, so I'd kind of be curious to know. Somebody let me know what is this? Like, looks like stadium lights or something like that. This could be, right? That's the big game, and we're the aliens or visitors watching the big game. They're there the second night too, so this would have been September 26th. There's probably some event going on there, September 26th. Don't mess with me, YouTube. This is just so great. So much to see just in 2 minutes. When I first went through it, I went through it quite slow, and it took me like, that's probably a helicopter. Let's just say that one's human traffic. It's fine. There's so many that are way too huge to be human. Look at that, and that, and that. See that? That's definitely there for a few frames. And then poof, that 2 frames. So, you know, these frames aren't generally more than 5 seconds, or sorry, aren't generally less than 5 seconds apart. So if you see something that sticks around for more than 1 frame, then it's definitely there, usually for at least 5 minutes. So when you don't see it moving, it definitely is not going to be typically human traffic. Even you know, even helicopters are typically moving, unless they're, you know, holding real still, trying to get I don't know, an arrest shot or something off the end of a high-speed chase. But typically helicopters are flying through the air. What is that? We don't know. That's why it's unidentified. The structure. Just about every day they show. What is that? It's parked right over the city. Yeah. Something over here. Like, I don't know if this is, as the sun goes down, it's still peeking up over the horizon and hitting this object that's up here in the sky, and so that's why we see the sun sort of travel across it. Now look at that. To me, that looks like a small, very small, but I mean small planet-size object. But small planet is pretty subjective because none of us have ever seen one in the sky in the wide open. Okay, those, let's just say those could be chemtrails. I guess they are. This, look at that. So right here, I wanted to point out what we see. What you're seeing is something, sorry, in my opinion, what we're seeing here this day is an object coming down and grazing the atmosphere and creating this ripple that's coming right across here, and it's pushing forward. This is not a huge planet. This is, I mean, it's still big for a vehicle, if that's what it is, but it's something. There's something pushing against these clouds, creating this wing-shaped push through, and yeah, that's my opinion. And then there's a big giant red something. Sun's already set, so you can't really write that one off as just being the sun. What is that? Whoa. Yeah. If this video doesn't ring the alarm, and I'm not saying freak out, panic. That's not what I'm saying. So fucking tired of people giving me that crap. The moment you say Planet X, people say, you just think it's going to be the end of the world. No, that's not at all what I think. Not at all. It's not even close. I think the world has been here for millions of years, possibly billions, likely billions, and it's still here. It may have been once called Tiamat. It may have been much, much bigger than it is now. It might be actually 3 planets now. Some people believe that Mars and Earth both came from Tiamat, as well as the moon, although I clearly don't think the moon is a terrestrial object from this solar system. And you have your opinion, I have mine, and mine's based on several testimonies that corroborate one another, as crazy as they may sound. Look at that. As crazy as they sound, like, how can you sound crazy when you're seeing, I watched chemtrails for a long time. They don't do that. Like, you see that that cloud is moving, but the chemtrail is not. The cloud is moving, but the chemtrail is holding very still. That's not natural. That's not normal. That doesn't happen. based on science and physics, says that that can't possibly happen. So again, we're looking at 5 seconds. 5 seconds without moving. It's perfectly still in the sky. There's nothing that can be. It can't be a plane going by, not just holding still for 6 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever it is, and then just vanishing out of the sky. And I'm sure somebody could say, oh, it went behind the clouds. Okay, well, delete that one. Just write that one off the top of the list if you want. Just say that one's my gimme. Because, fucker. Okay, that one's probably just some dewdrops or something, right? Swamp gas. It's just swamp gas. Look at that one. Just appears, vanishes. Is that a moon? Big white moon? Notice this bright ass blue. This bright, it's like, I keep calling it tropical blue, because to me it looks like how the sky might look in, you know, in the equatorial area. And not that I have a whole lot of experience, just been to Cuba a couple of times, and I remember the sky there as quite beautiful. On a few of the days I was there, it was exceptional. You see these objects are reflecting light up there, even though they're closed. You can't see the object, you just get an outline of it, or a reflection off of it, or a shadow of it, or an imprint of it in the clouds. But it doesn't make it any less real. It doesn't make it any less valid, or, you know, if it was a giant metal chunk of flying machine appearing right before your eyes, which some of them actually are, then it shouldn't be any less imposing. And again, I'm not saying that we got to be all freaked out and worried, oh my god, we're being invaded. Rather, instead, we should be, oh my god, we've been invaded and nobody noticed. That's my biggest concern, is that, look at this, every day since June. Well, not every day, you know, like, but every day that they've included in this time lapse. And you can see, like, it zips through the days here pretty quick. Look at that. That is impressive. To me, I look at that and I'm like, these guys know their technology. They know what's up. They have a giant chunk of metal floating in the sky. Again, this is, to me, this is a good sign. Knowing that their presence is so imposing, and that their presence is so omnipotent. It's, you know, it could be bad. I mean, it could turn out bad. I'm not going to kid myself. But the fact that it hasn't turned out bad yet, because I mean, really, if they wanted this planet, they could take it clearly without a struggle. It would have been over by now if they wanted it. They would have bum rushed us, and we would have been dust in the wind. Dust in the wind. That's what we would have been. Because not a fucking person barely even noticed they're here. How could we have let them get in this far without even anybody cluing in? I don't know. I'm several months into this now, and there are people that have been, you know, databasing evidence before me. Look at that river. Look how it froze. That's pretty interesting. I guess it must come around a bend there. Sometimes I think when rivers come around a bend, you'll get this little sheet of ice that will stay close. Look at that. So something drastic happened. Just poof. And look at the white ass light. Must be, that's 4 p.m. the next day. From 5:15 the day before to 4 p.m. the next day, the whole river is just frozen solid. Isn't that like a tree? I don't know. Let's not even bother that one. Oh shoot. Where was I? That's what I don't like about YouTube either. We didn't get there yet. Check that out. Something is big behind there. See? That could be that whole portion of the sky. Here I'm kind of getting a little smaller appearance, but still. What? There's the reflection of something. Oh, we already saw that guy. Maybe let's get back too far. I don't think we need to look too much more of it. You get the point, though. You get where I'm going with this. Did he show up again? Probably is still there. You know, some of it I wonder, like, how much is like infrastructure that's been put in place? How much of it could be, you know, we've got a solar simulator in the sky, so what's to say we don't have a whole array of, you know, staging up there that's being used to completely separate us from our skies in some kind of an effort to hide whatever it is that's going on up there. Is that a roll cloud? Kind of looks like it. Oink. Could be a plane, sure. But look, this in the reflection. You see? See that? There's something giant hidden there. This green color that's there. It's like green. It's not a sky color. Not a sky color. Like the aurora borealis, perhaps, but that's not aurora. Look at that. See, it's not moving with the clouds. Look at that. It's just one after the other after the other. Yep. Look at that. Indefinitely. Oh my goodness. Dear Boston, what happened? Where did you go wrong? Whoa, that's cool. That could be a totally perfectly normal, natural phenomenon. I'm fine with that. It's just cool. That's one of the things that I try and always remain positive and just think of it as like, wow, look at, you know, I'm enjoying this far more than I ever would have enjoyed sitting down and watching some stupid lame ass sitcom or, you know, a TV news or any TV show. I enjoy, look at the scenery on them. I'm looking at webcams from all over the world now. I just sit down, poof, Maui Beach, watching the sunset. I'm in Moncton, New Brunswick. It's effing cold here. And so to sit down and, it's a great hobby to have, let's just say that. But it's a bit more important than just a hobby, I think. It has some profound effects on the population, or has some possibilities, profound possibilities. Boink. Alright, let's call that one good. We killed that one. Well, and actually we didn't. We barely even squeezed the majority of the water out of that one because it holds a lot. Check it out. Boston Sunsets time lapse, June to December 2017. Hit play, hit pause, and you know your little arrow keys. Just use those the triangle bracket keys. You can use those to pan forward and backwards. And a lot of times just zipping forward, zipping backwards, zipping forward, you know, a couple times if you think you see something. Doing that helps you flow the sky. And if you see something that's not flowing with the sky, well, it's a good indicator. It's a good indicator you got something on your hands. So let's have a kitchen party. What do you say? I got up this morning and I had a kitchen party. I had a kitchen party and somebody recorded it. Yeah, it was me that recorded it, okay? So check this out. We've been seeing this pop up in lots of the webcams as well. For 6 months now, the lens flares are just out of this world.
Whoa, dude.
Literally.
There's a solar system on your kitchen wall. I know, cool, right?
I amuse myself, I guess, sometimes.
Oh, is that a red dwarf? I think so.
Now, I would be fine with saying these are just lens flares, which, you know, obviously is what a lot of people are saying, but this is obviously not normal. We can see right away
it's a dirty ass little kitchen window. Man, that's dirty. I wish it wasn't so cold, I'd clean it.
Anyways, the winter blues, right? If we could see that these spherical objects were in a perfect line, even, then I would say it's possible it's purely lens anomaly only. That there is no, or there is a possibility there's no interstellar effect that is pushing this. But the simple fact that you can see that they're not all in a perfectly straight line, and this one is kind of making me a bit of a liar here, because this one is actually in a fairly straight line, but these are slightly off center. There are sometimes you'll see that you'll have two together and they'll be perpendicular, they'll be side by side, or there'll be a large one with a small one appearing to almost look like it's, you know, on the corner of it, or, you know, it's a moon orbiting a planet in appearance. And this one is sort of showing all green and yellow, but there are others we've got, which I'll show you just one more here, that has multiple colors, and coincidentally they seem to correspond with the colors of the planets that have been depicted in several graphics showing planet X. Now, you see what I mean? Like, those are in perfect line with one another. I recorded several of these. I'm not going to play all through all of them. I wanted to record a few that were a little longer so I could measure or check back and watch them in higher speed to see if there was any sort of orbiting fashion that could be observed. Like if one of them's rotating, or one of them has, sometimes we'll see almost like pot marks in some of the lens anomalies, like craters. Just speed through it here. So here's, this one's a bit longer. It's a 9-minute one, but if I put it at like 3.5, 5 times the speed. Let's go 8 times speed. This counter doesn't work so well. 12 times speed. It's barely any movement at all. It's stuck. You see that? Oh. You know, like my place is probably got a little bit of dust in it, but I don't know. I don't think that's dust going up and sideways in my house in the sunshine. For some reason, that just doesn't say dust to me. But again, some of this is subjective. But after what I've just shown you in Boston, again, it should be pretty clear that there is nothing impossible here anymore. See, look at that. See that? That's a reflection of a ship out there flying in the sky. That's not a little piece of dust going. Wow, I've never seen that before. There's a new thing every day. Every day. That's why this is so amazing. It's so incredibly exciting. Every single day I'm seeing something completely new and bizarre and unexplainable and beautiful. It can be a little bit frightening, but mostly, like I said before, it's mostly just frightening because nobody else sees it at all. If every human on Earth turned around right now and said, hey, look, I see UFOs in the sky. I see that we're being visited. Then I would just feel a lot better because at least then as a species, we're going to be prepared, a little better prepared, so as to not get completely, blindsided. Because as we know in history, being blindsided has never worked out good for the human race, ever. It's never, ever worked out in our favor. Little Saturday morning wake and bake in the kitchen party? What's going on here? Did somebody leave some toast in the toaster? That's the smoke machine at the club. So I guess I haven't really been able to notice too much of any orbiting motions or any evidence that is occurring. But there's another one of those. Look at this movement. I had no idea. I haven't watched these yet at all. I just recorded them this morning, and I was working on some other research for a different topic, and I saw that this was happening in my screen, and so I set up the tripod and let it record. 7 times speed. Let's see what look at it. Done. What? Yeah, let's see if I can. Yeah, I can. These guys look busy. Maybe some of you will just say that's just dust. It's dust in your dusty ass apartment, Justin. Alright. Well, okay. That still doesn't explain any of this. Why any of this is happening. If you want to write every one of these specks that are moving through here in abnormal ways and say that's just dust. Okay. Well, hit the brakes. Swing back around, do a loop. Head this way. Okay. I suppose I'm picking this stuff out, but there's probably some people that looking at it on a phone, and you'll probably never see that stuff on a phone. So that was my kitchen party this morning. I thought it was fascinating. Another clip. Just take a quick skim through it. See what kind of movement it offers. It's just 6 minutes at 6, no, 7, 8 times. So, like, clearly we've got a couple objects there that are a certain size. These 2 objects here, purple, blue, green. Right. So, in the intro there, you probably saw that I had just flipped up a couple of graphics of Tesla as we were hearing Shekina Rose saying her bit about numbers and the synchronicity that a lot of people, including myself, have been going through. And ever since I was a kid, or in high school, I guess not as a kid, but ever since I was young, we'd hear, that, oh, 11:11, if you see 11:11 on the clock, that means good luck, or whatever, right? That's good luck, apparently. So my chroma key keeps fucking with me. So, yeah, 11:11, good luck, right? Okay, that's fine. But, as a kid, I saw it enough to feel like I was one of the crowd, like I was part of the club, and once a week you'd make a wish on it or whatever. But when you get to a point in your life where all of a sudden you start seeing these number patterns day after day after day, and it's like 4 or 6 times a day that you're seeing multiple different patterns. It starts to kind of toy with you a little bit, and you start to kind of wonder, like, is somebody sending me a signal from somewhere? Is it, you happen to look at the clock in the afternoon and it's 3:33, and you go about your day, and then you happen to go walk by the clock again, it's 5:55. You might not think a thing of it. But then when you are tossing and turning in bed and you roll over and go, what time is it? And it's 3:33. And you're like, oh. So finally you get to sleep and you toss and turn, but you get some sleep, and you sleep through your alarm, and you wake up and you're like, damn it, what time is it? 11:11. Oh. So once that stuff happens to you enough, and it starts to come in waves and flow almost uncontrollably, and then just go away for a while. But then when it comes back in a big wave again, and you're just getting it like 3, 4, 5 times a day, 6 times a day, whatever, right? Like, you're getting it lots, enough that you're starting to be like, what the hell is going on here? Is somebody fucking with me? Is somebody like programming this one in? Because it would be a great joke. If I could figure out how to do that, I would pull that on so many people. There's some people that I would enjoy watching with that experience. So she mentions 333, and 333 hits me quite a bit, and it hits me, and I think I've thought I must have a trigger that makes it stand out in my mind, and I definitely do. Huge Nikola Tesla fan. The man was an absolute brilliant genius. He was a brilliant man, and he was a noble man, and he was a hero. There's nothing less that you can say about him. There's nothing I don't think that he wanted to give the world. His entire life was devoted to making the world a better place for all of humanity. And he was, I believe he was castrated for it. There's some stories where you can find information that suggests, it's mostly stories being handed down now, that there was a gentleman that had built a relationship with him and had asked him one day, why is it that you don't, I guess he was quite a ladies' man, I guess. And so there were women, there was a couple of aristocrat women that were swooning him, and he could have had lots of punani, and wasn't. And this gentleman one day that he had built a relationship with questioned him and said, why don't you go after these women, or why don't you have a woman? And I guess Tesla had got to the point where he wanted to tell somebody, and he dropped his drawers and showed them, and he was castrated. So to think about that, the most brilliant hero that we've had, in my opinion, it's just an opinion, okay? It's just an opinion. I think he's a brilliant man, and he really wanted to do great things for humanity, and he was persecuted for it. Not only was he persecuted, he was tortured and eventually murdered. And all of the great things that he did invent, his work was stolen and has been kept literally under lock and key in black projects. It's been kept from humanity. And, it's quite likely what's powering our solar simulator. Tesla technology. It's radio, it's microwaves, it's X-rays, he invented so many profound things. But that one quote of his really struck me, because it was so mysterious, and I felt gypped because I was never really that great at math. I sucked at math. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it, but our high school math is garbage. It's garbage, and I was no good at it. I couldn't relate to it. I'm a very visual person, and all through high school did, or all through public school, it did nothing to make math appeal to my thought process. Nothing. It was very, very left brain, and I'm a very, very right brain person, and a creative person that's visually stimulated, or driven more so by visual stimulation, is not going to work well with pencils on paper doing long equations. It was not good at all. I hated math. It was miserable. I hated it. not until I started learning about Tesla did I learn how wrong I was about math and how amazing it is, and how much it can make perfect sense easily of so many things. And none of Tesla's quotes were more mysterious to me than his quote that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, sorry, I got the wrong quote. That's not me. If you only knew the magnificence, if you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the keys to the universe. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Like, it's like he was taunting me. It's like, if you only knew a little bit about math and you could figure out these 3 simple numbers, you could get a lot farther. Well, luckily in the last couple of years, a lot of people have really looked into that and really pulled it out of the darkness for me. And this video I'm going to roll right here is an excellent explanation of it. And this is going to tie in here. I'm going to loop this right back around to the UFOs. It's intense, all right? It's intense. You can't just expect this kind of a subject to get squeezed out in a 10-minute little segment. It's not going to happen. I'm getting out of here. I see what's happening. I'm out of here. Three, 6, 9.
So we invested in wind, we invested in solar, we invested in biomass. We're all about increasing energy efficiency and finding new, renewable, clean sources of energy. We don't yet have the technological breakthroughs that can completely replace fossil fuels. Unless somebody here invents something tomorrow, which would be very helpful. And if you have it, let me know.
With all due respect, Mr. President, this is me letting you know. I'm here representing the Vortex-based mathematics project, which was founded by my teacher, Marko Rodin. Nearly 40 years ago, Marko discovered an unknown mathematical language inherent to nature. Now I found the key of how to model it in three-dimensional space. The importance of this discovery cannot be underestimated. With it, I believe we can create inexhaustible clean energy, produce unlimited food, end all diseases, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, and obsolete all existing technology. How is it possible that we make such outrageous claims? It's because we have the secret that connects all the world's technologies into one: numbers. A living language, a jigsaw puzzle that when pieced together no longer forms an approximation or a rendition of reality. Numbers are reality, neither imaginary, nor irrational, nor arbitrary. Numbers are actually a waveform that folds out into a 3D shape, defining space and time literally. The shape of a torus, nature's original donut, many believe may hold the key to creating a clean and sustainable environment for future generations.
We can tap what has been referred to as the zero-point energy, sometimes referred to as free energy, and already the evidence and traces of that exist in very simple home-built technology.
This technology has been around for centuries.
In this demonstration, we're using a 12-volt battery which feeds into a simple circuit that creates a sound frequency. That sound frequency is then fed into the coil, and then it comes out in the form of usable light. Now, the important thing here is that we're able to light 98 LEDs at a fraction of the energy consumption that it would normally take to light around 8 LEDs. So we're getting 90 more LEDs for less energy consumption. We stumbled upon the vortex math of Randy Powell and Marko Rodin and began to expand on their concepts.
This technology is not to be privatized or owned by any individual or corporation, but is instead our desire to open source it to the public, and in the process to make a film documenting the construction, the development, and the investigation of both the math and the technology.
The problem is not the lack of a collective desire for a positive future, but the lack of a collective vehicle for positive actions. Humanity doesn't have to have a dark future, and it's not going anywhere that we don't steer it. We have a technology in our hands that can boom the market of alternative energy, solar cells, and electric vehicles, and change our world forever. We have already achieved the impossible, but now we need your help to make the impossible an everyday experience.
What we have is the grand unified field theory. With it, you can create inexhaustible free energy, end all diseases, produce unlimited food, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, artificial intelligence, and obsolete all existing technology. And with it, you can do all the functions of all the branches of math instantly. It displays a perfect spin symmetry of numbers forming mirror images just like our two hands, a feat that's baffled countless scientists and mathematicians. When you look at this symbol, you immediately see it's composed of two aspects. One is this lazy 8, or the infinity symbol, and the other is the red pyramid at the top. The infinity symbol is the equation for the physical world we live in. It's a circuit or a pathway of motion. 6 numbers that form a hexagon. Thus, such diverse phenomena as light polarizing, beehives, Saturn's North Pole, and snowflakes are all versions of this hexagon. These shapes form pathways for any matter in motion, which is never straight, but always at an angle. Nothing in the physical world ever moves in a straight line, not a bullet shooting, not lightning coming down out of the sky. Everything is a coil, even a photon coming from a distant star, proving relativity exists. Our body is called this mortal coil. Our DNA is a coil, and it's no coincidence that it matches our equation perfectly.
No coincidence.
It makes us into a vortex machine that sucks things in at the top and shoots them out at the bottom.
Our bodies are toroidal systems, our planet is a toroidal system, and all vortex energy works in the same fashion.
The center of electricity is magnetism. At the center of magnetism is a flux. It's a higher dimensional energy known by many names such as dark energy, tachyons, monopoles, gravitons. We call it etheron energy. It's the energy that's keeping us conscious and alive, and it's not a static or stationary energy. It's a pulse, it's a surge, it's the beating heart of all existence. It's the ultimate fundamental particle in the universe, the God particle, and I know how to harness it. This energy is the source of all time, motion, and vibration. It's the only thing that comes from the whole, or the zero, the center of the cyclone. It emanates linearly in all directions, penetrating everything without any resistance. It cannot be shielded. As it penetrates, it leaves a grain. It shows you how things move, how they stick together or come apart. It animates everything. It's the source of the non-decaying spin of the electron. If you combine it with a coil, you get a perfect mathematical vortex. consisting of a positive electromagnetic energy radiating out and a negative backdraft counter space, which is the same as gravity. It allows for contraction. Etherons are literally the glue that holds the universe together. Einstein called it an inertia ether. Ultimately, when this is arrayed in true 3D shape, which is what I discovered, it forms a shape commonly known as a torus or a donut. This experiment you're going to watch while I finish my talk, I want you to keep in mind when you're watching this magnet spinning around, there's no energy going into this coil. It's totally turned off. And I'll continue. Your blood cells are a torus. DNA is a torus. Magnetic field, galaxies, all toruses. It's a one-way living systemic electrical machine, a self-sustaining jet. You might say a flying saucer. I found the way to calculate this torus in a perfect 3D, 4D, and higher mathematical hologram that can be scaled up and down to infinity, and which we now call the Abha torus. Or sometimes we refer to it by Marko's name, which is the flux thruster atom pulsar electrical venturi space-time implosion field generator coil. And with it, our electrical venturi torus. Or sometimes we refer to it by Marko's name, which is the flux thruster atom pulsar electrical venturi space-time implosion field generator coil. And with it, it's possible to create a localized space-time implosion, a controlled desktop black hole. That magnet's still spinning. There's no energy in the coil. This is the final technology, the philosopher's stone, a reactionless drive unaffected by any weight that it carries. It's a true model of an atom, and with it I have the key to the periodic table, which a professor from the University of North Carolina told me could be the greatest scientific discovery of all time. We can, for the first time, cross from one science to another, unbroken, whether it's subatomic physics, periodic table, computer science, DNA. Remember, I said cure all diseases, artificial intelligence, all the result of ether-on flux fields. So simply put, this torus does it all. It's a blueprint for a perfectly efficient magnetic field generating coil, a spaceship, a surgical tool, a supercomputer, even a high-fidelity speaker, all in one. Are such things possible? Frankly, yes, they are, and my team is ready to develop them at any time. What you see here was just from the most primitive approximation of my work. But the truth and reality of our project is it suffered from a tremendous lack of attention. It has been peer-reviewed by some of the best names in science, but because of our unwillingness to sell it out for private interests, it remains in the hands of exhausted volunteers like myself. Our goal is to create a grassroots energy and technology revolution by turning this information, this knowledge over to the public in an open source project.
That's it. Open source. I keep saying open source is the answer to so many of humanity's problems. It's money. Money, the root of all evil. It hinders progress. It stifles our curiosity. It has prevented so much progress that we could have made by now. You know, Nikola Tesla is the one that first was able to record this science and explore it. He was at his prime over 100 years ago. And since then, what has happened? Since then, we've had countless wonderful brains come and go, and every single time any sort of alternative energy technology has been brought forward into the commonplace, people are assassinated. It's buried. A massive effort is put at suppressing it, and you can see trails of this, evidence of this, of countless incidents over the last 100 years since Tesla. And we need to be able to break free from this. We need to be able to break free from this, and I think it's coming. It's coming really soon. At the beginning where there was talk about disclosure. Disclosure is happening now. We're learning of all sorts of hidden secrets that are being leaked out to us, and there's frankly so much of it. That's why these lies can't just be pulled out and, oh look, humans do have free energy. We just had it hidden because there's so many secrets. that have been kept from us, and there is some dark ones. And because of that, the people that are keeping the secrets aren't so willing to let them out. And there's just no way that we can sustain the society on the path that we're on. We need to break some of this out and make the world truly a better place. And this is the kind of people that are doing it. This is the kind of people that are really, really trying. And now, just before I got hooked onto this Planet X thing and started seeing objects approaching the Earth, which obviously was quite a distraction, I was actually working on building a couple of these coils that Mr. and Mrs. Nunez had there with the LED lights. There's an open source downloadable pattern. You can download the pattern, cut the frame for the coils, wrap the coil yourself, and amplify electricity simply with a specially wound copper coil. I was watching some of his videos, and he was showing something like just with a small coil, something like a 40% jump in current into the coil, 40% greater output. Now, just imagine if you applied that on like the scale of a power plant. If our power plants were putting out 40% more electricity without consuming any additional fuel, just that alone would revolutionize the energy that we consume and how humanity consumes it in our society. It's mind-blowing that it's been hidden for so long. So now I swing this back to the UFOs, and we ask the question, how has it been hidden for so long? Why has it been hidden for so long? We know the answer, but I think we should get maybe some official word on it. So so many people are so stuck on hearing the official word from up above. You gotta have a politician or a news anchor there to verify the information and to present it to you. Otherwise, it can't be true, right? Well, how about foreign Canadian Defense Minister?
What do you think is the blockage?
Well, the blockage, I think, is really a desire on the part of a very small group in the United States to keep a lot of secrets to themselves and not to share them with either other people in their own country or with the world. And why they're doing this, whether there's a financial advantage to the United States or financial advantage to the oil industry, for example, of keeping the existence of exotic fuels a secret, I can't say for sure. But I'm pretty sure that there's somebody that's benefiting or think that they're benefiting from the power or the advantage, monetary advantage, of maintaining this exclusive little club that they've got, which knows a lot of things that the rest of us don't know.
It's Paul Hellier.
So I think that the significance of this is that when we first started this effort in 2001, which was actually the culmination of 8 years of assembling witnesses and whistleblowers and documents, there was about 40 or 50% of people thought that some aspect of the UFO matter was real. Now it's almost 80%, and the polls have shown that the information has gotten out there to the point where the vast majority of the public, not just the United States, but throughout the world, believe that these are real, and it's accepted. What's not happened yet is any U.S. government announcement, but the U.S. government is lagging behind other governments around the world. For example, we have amazing developments in the last 15 months, since the spring of 2007, where the French Space Agency released about 100,000 pages of previously classified documents from their investigations and reports. And, of course, they're in French. But we have someone working on trying to translate some of those and get the best ones to us. Someone I just met with recently in Montreal last week. And so on top of that, the British government has just released this year several thousand new documents on information and investigations that they had classified. And a few weeks ago, the Vatican came out with a statement about the likelihood of intelligent life in the universe, and that they should be viewed as
Satan's lair.
Intelligent beings and children of God, just as we all are. And that, of course, was from the Vatican chief astronomer at the Vatican Observatory. So what we're seeing is that in Europe and in other places around the world, there's big movement afoot for bringing all this information out, letting the world know we're not alone, and moving forward.
Tell me, so many people in the know, like astronauts, military people, you as ex-Minister of Defense, want to address this question, and even the Vatican has come forth and made the statement that the ET is our brother and sister. How do you think that we can approach this with the general public so that there is no panic and no pressure and no change in the status quo? Or do you think there will be a change in the status quo?
I think the public is prepared to accept it. Certainly if it is revealed in layers and not all in one fell swoop, because it takes getting used to. I went through this too. You start out knowing a little bit and saying, well, this is fine, and these people are benign, and they've got a lot to teach us. And one of the things that comes through loud and clear from all the research that I've done, that they are in fact more spiritual than we are, that we're less spiritually advanced than they are. And so we should look at them not as enemy, but as brothers and sisters, and try and work with them for our own benefit and theirs as well. But I think, you have talked to a lot of people who realize that at some stage, this UFO file was turned over to industry. And the U.S. government lost control of it. And ever since then, and it's a long time back, it goes right back to Eisenhower's day, and this was the reason he was so concerned about the military-industrial complex. He said that we should beware of them and keep an eye on them, because they would do things that were in their interests and not necessarily in our interests. And this, I believe, is exactly what has happened. That a small group of people benefit from this aura of fear. And you know Dr. Carol Rosin, as I do, and she worked with Werner von Braun for some time. And he kept warning her after he sort of mellowed that this industrial military complex had to have an enemy in order to justify such huge military expenditures when people are starving all over the world and dying from lack of medical care and so on. And he said first it will be the communists, and they had a good run at the communists. And then he said it will be the terrorists, and now they're having a good run at the terrorists. And then he said it will be the extraterrestrials, and now they're trying to get money to establish a base on the moon and do other things, which some of us feel is probably more military oriented than it is scientifically oriented, at least as much so. And without really the American people ever having given sanction, they have no mandate to do that. No government has run on the platform of spending public money for the militarization of space. On the contrary, I think most people say, hey, this is a common area. It should be available for the utilization of all mankind and for the betterment of all mankind. But we've got this roadblock, as long as a small, well, I call them cabal in the book, who are the hardcore of the shadow government that everyone talks about, which I also talk about in the book, refuse to come clean, and I think that they're going to have to come clean at some stage, and Congress is the organization that's going to have to force them to do that.
Unfortunately, the United States is sort of dragging its feet on this, and it's because the United States is the one that's sitting on the majority of the really big energy technology breakthroughs that are being kept secret for what they claim to be national security reasons, but in reality they're being kept secret because of the fact that once this information is known, we're not going to need oil and gas and coal. One of the things that most people don't think of when they see all the sensational stuff on a Larry King Live show or some other show is that the reason for all the ridicule and the secrecy around the issue is because the intelligence community has worked very closely with the economic powers and financial interests that are very concerned with people knowing that these objects are real, because if they know they're real and they see how they're moving, they're going to know that they're not using a solid rocket booster or a jet engine or any kind of propulsion system that we use on the Earth today in the non-classified world. And so when that happens, people are going to say, well, gee, why aren't we running our homes with these kinds of new energy and physics and big breakthroughs in technology? And of course, the public will demand that, because it's very well known that the so-called electromagnetic-gravitic systems, the anti-gravity systems, and the other zero-point or free energy systems have been studied and kept in classified projects for at least 50 or 60 years, and in the case of some of these energy developments, probably closer to 100 years. And so
I think that's about enough that we have it. I think we've got the point here. This is happening. The technology is real. The technology is here. It's above us. Laws of physics, laws of science, they're gone. They're gone now. We have to completely rethink them. And big things are happening. I'm so excited. I never imagined that this type of change would come in my generation. I never imagined that this type of breakthrough could be possible in my generation. And I had long hoped that, for the sake of my child and the future of my species, that something like this would come along eventually, or eventually make its way there. But it actually does seem like there is a possibility right now that with shared information, if we all pick up a little bit of the effort to get the information out, to spread the word, to talk about it openly, to carry on the conversations, no matter how hard they are, no matter how gruesome they get, no matter how difficult it is to face. If we all face it together, then we can see our way out of this, and we can see a brighter day. We can bring about a brighter day in our generation, in this time. And it's possible that time for doing so could be running out. It's possible that we could see, and likely will see, this power structure that's holding on to this put up a last fight, and who knows what could come of it, because they've got technology that can control the weather, that can create earthquakes, that can, the list goes on and on and on of what they could do. But we're going to have to face it sooner than later, and it's only getting worse as time progresses. It's only going to get more difficult. The stranglehold only gets cinched in tighter. And right now, we could have backup here. We could have backup here in the skies above us. We've got something in the skies above us. But importantly, I guess, the one thing we can confirm is what we've got in the sky above us is proof that this technology exists, is proof that these limitations that we've been living under for so long aren't real. They're lies. They're lies. Everything now has to be reconsidered. And we can't turn on that local news channel, sit down, and let them continue to brainwash us every day, day in, day out, open the newspaper, read what they want you to hear, and think the world is fine, and go about your day, not taking any responsibility for making anything better. We can't do that any longer. We can't be that kind of species. We need to take control of the future and steer it in the direction we want it to go in. And all we need to do is be aware. Speak up, speak out, and let others know. Because our strength is in numbers. They don't want us in numbers. They don't want us to grow in groups of common-minded individuals. They want us to be separated and bickering and fighting. This is why social media is geared that way. This is why the news continually pushes these bullshit stories about race wars or whatever. Just garbage. It's garbage, and it's meant to keep you brainwashed and subservient and separated and afraid. But once you break free of that, once we all break free of that, we are so much bigger, we are so much better. And there is so much great things to come. And there's so much great things that are right within our grasp. And maybe we even have backup, which would be really cool. But anyways, that's it. That's a really long video. So much love. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for fighting through this one with me. I hope you took a lot from it. Drop some comments. Subscribe. I've got so much more. Got so much more to cover. And I'm going to be working away at it. I'm not going to give up on it. Even if I do build a nice collection of trolls that like to come in and call me crazy. Whatever. I love you all. Respect. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.